Recording. Oh, hello, and welcome to the Anxiety Hacks podcast. And today our guest is Rebecca Wagner. And it's going to be the ultimate guide to managing anxiety and achieving long-term success in overcoming mental health challenges. But before we begin, I just want to mention about my new book, Anxiety Hacks. The audiobook is about to be released. And it is on all the major platforms. So if you are interested, then please check it out. Now, back to Rebecca. Now, Rebecca's unique approach to healing through hypnosis and mindset tools, combined with her background in massage therapy, offers a holistic solution to help you break free from anxiety and become the person you truly want to be. Through her powerful process, you'll discover the connection between your mind and body and learn to heal in a more effective and gentle way. So join us today on this journey towards inner peace and transformation. So welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. I absolutely love that introduction. Thank you.
Oh, good. Oh, wow. So you have a lot of different tools in your toolbox, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. So tell us about your view of anxiety.
Okay, so anxiety, I believe, is ultimately it's the fear of the unknown of the future. And once you put yourself into that space of the future, that's when you start to get anxious because you're thinking all of these thoughts that most of them probably aren't going to even come true anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point, isn't it? It's all
It
those
is.
what ifs and all of those negative thoughts that come with it.
Yeah, and it's funny because I heard somewhere one time that we think like 50 thoughts. Well, we think a lot of thoughts per second, but very often we think a lot of negative things. And the possibilities of those actually happening are like less than 1%.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. Because we have 60,000 different thoughts approximately that go through our mind every day. And
Yeah.
then what is really shocking is that 70% of those thoughts are negative thoughts that which is, that's how we've been created, from our forefathers. And so
Yeah.
if you think that, oh my gosh, all those thoughts, and then so many of them are negative anyway. So if somebody, is not in a very good place, then those thoughts, it's going to be many, many more negative thoughts
Yeah.
than if they weren't in a negative place. And then
And
the worst thing is, though, with these statistics, the worst thing is that 95% of the thoughts that we have today are the same thoughts that we had yesterday.
yes, yes.
That's just awful.
It's so true. And it's like, so we can think about the thoughts from our past. Why can we not think about the good things that we want from our future instead?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Abs-
as you and I both know, we have two minds. We have a conscious mind and an unconscious mind, or subconscious, some people call it. And our unconscious mind doesn't know what's real and what's not. So whatever thoughts you think, it believes to be true. And so if we can think of things from the past that are negative or whatever they are, why can't we think of things of the future that we want, the things towards where we're going, so that we can decrease the anxiety because now we have a direction to go?
Absolutely. And work with that part of our brain, that unconscious part of our brain, and start to
Mhm.
set some positive seeds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know this time of the year we're in spring where I am in Toronto, Canada. It's springtime. And this is the time of planting those seeds, of setting those goals, setting those things that you want for the future so that coming the summer and the fall times, then you can start to reap your rewards. So there really isn't a reason to have anxiety about it now because it's like a baby. When you create a baby, it still takes 9, 10 months in the womb to grow. And so it's like people want things done so fast that then they get anxiety because it's not happening. Yet all they have to do is wait.
Yeah. And work through
Yeah.
the start. But if you think of those thoughts and those negative thoughts, and like you say, setting seeds for the future,
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't got those seeds set in the future, then you're more than likely just going to be thinking negative thoughts.
Yeah. Because you're only thinking of the things that you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's about consciously actually making that effort to think, right, okay, if I have the same thoughts that majority of the same thoughts that I had yesterday, well, I'm never going to change. So I need to consciously make some decisions about how I'm going to do that.
Yes, exactly. And when you bring it into the conscious mind, that's the repetition of continuing to do the same things that you want to change those negative thoughts. Because I think what it is if you say one negative thought, you have to do, I want to say, and I don't know these numbers exactly, although this is what I do, is if someone says one negative thought, I make them say 3 positive thoughts right away to to counterbalance that. And then if they really want to make it more solidified, then I make them say 5. And then to really get them to completely flip that thought totally, then I get them to say at least 10 good things about that situation instead.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant.
It is. It
So
is.
what do you suggest to the listeners should do there? So first of all, it's being aware that you've actually, that you're having that negative thought, or you've said, something negative maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So even say let's say an example of a thought is, oh, I can't even think of anything off the top of my
I'm
head.
fearful. I'm scared about going out to the shops.
Okay, so I'm scared to go to the store today. Okay, so there are people that are going to start to think all these negative things that could happen. Although you could flip it and to be like, what if I hit every green light on the way? And what if when I get there, somebody holds the door open for me or helps me pack my groceries or everything that I need, it pops right out in front of me and it's on sale. Like you start to really think of the things that you want, those good things, and then you get yourself into this excited state instead of the negative state. Because when you're even in fear or you're in excitement, it's the same feeling inside your body. It's just one has the positive aspect on it and one has the negative aspect on it. So you're going to have that feeling inside you anyway. Why not have the positive vibration to it rather than the negative, the fear, which creates the anxiety?
Yeah. And fear and anxiety, are the same, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
At the same level. So it's being aware that actually, if you start to turn that around and,
Mm-hmm.
if you've, say, got to do a speech to a very large a group of people,
Mm-hmm.
and that anxiety, you could turn that around and create excitement rather than like going down the dropping down into the hole of anxiety. It's
Yeah.
actually building that excitement and focusing on that excited feeling.
Yeah. Because even if, say, you're going into a new situation and you're like, oh, I'm very anxious about this, you could even switch that to be excitement. Like right now, hockey is big here in Canada
Oh, yeah.
and the playoffs are happening. And if you watch the players while like the national anthem is playing, they're bouncing on their skates back and forth. And what they're actually doing is they're getting out that burst of adrenaline, that burst of excitement so that they can go and play. And so it's the same that happens in everyday people too, where it's like they're getting this burst of adrenaline. They're just putting that anxiety twist on it, where if you're like, oh no, this is excitement, let's just do something, move my body to get it out, then you can go on and do the thing that you want to do, and you're at a more calm state.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent.
It's so much fun. It's so fascinating to really watch how people do things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And the way they do them and how they create those steps to be anxious.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And to even for yourself to like step back and look at yourself, look at your situation that you're in from that third person. Well, that's going to take the anxiety out of it right away because you're no longer in that situation. You're
Yeah.
disassociated from the event that's happening, and you're looking at it as if it was a movie playing out, which takes all the emotion out of it anyway, right?
Yeah. 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 So, Rebecca, so what else would you suggest to somebody that has anxiety, whether that's severe or mild anxiety?
So there's a couple of things that I would say. Let's start with the first one of overwhelm, anxiety because of overwhelm. And
Mhm.
oftentimes you get anxious because you're getting overwhelmed because you're thinking of 47 things that you have to do at once. And it's like, oh, I'm so anxious because I have to do all this, 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 this. So then ask yourself, what is it specifically that I'm overwhelmed or that's creating my anxiety now? And when you bring it down to that one specific thing, then you go, okay, what's specific about that? And then what's specific about that? And then you find out, oh, I just have to call somebody and cancel an appointment. Well, it's like there's no longer any reason to be anxious about it because now you have to do one thing. So when you bring it right down to the very specifics, the anxiety, the anxiousness / overwhelm is removed because you literally are just doing one thing in that one moment.
Yeah, good. Good. And then I suppose it's breaking it. It's then working through
Yeah,
the next whatever it is you need to do in order to be able to bring the anxiety down.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And just being very specific with yourself because anxiety, it's like you're floating in the clouds and the rockets are all going by really fast, where it's like,
Yeah.
let's bring it back down to the earth, maybe take a few deep breaths, ground yourself, connect to the earth so that you can figure out exactly what it is you need to do in this moment to to decrease that anxiety.
Yeah. And I think it's important for listeners to, because a lot of my clients, I'll say, so, so what would it be, if they were to know, what would it be that would be able to help them with their anxiety? And then they'll say, oh, I don't know.
Okay,
But
I'll wait.
what's important to know is that there is part of you that does know. So then you could ask yourself, so what if I did know? What about if I was to guess what the answer is?
Yeah, yeah,
Then that will be the answer. The first thing that comes into your head would be the correct answer before
yes,
your conscious mind kind of dives in and starts to, oh, no, it's not that. Oh, no, it's this. Oh, no, no, no. So part of you does know what the answer is. So it's asking yourself again and going with that first answer.
yes, yes. It's so true. It's so true. And then the other one, so we got the one that's being very specific. And then the other one, if you're getting that anxious feeling, it takes about 5 minutes. And this is where you want to sit in a chair and you want to focus on the situation that you actually want to happen. So let's say let's use the going to the store. And so you're like, okay, I'm getting really anxious about the store. Let me take 5 minutes for myself and relax for a minute. So you sit there and you relax and you close your eyes and you imagine that you've gone to the store and you're 15 minutes after that event, 15 minutes after being at the store. Maybe you're already back home. And now everything has happened. You've unloaded your groceries and you're home again sitting in your chair. Well, now you've put yourself into the future past where you knew that the anxiety was going to come in. And because you've already played that in your head before you even left, your unconscious mind now knows the pathway of where you're going. And so you can replay that at least 5 times in your head. You close your eyes and you imagine you're gone to the store, you've got your groceries, you've come back home, you're in your house again. And you just keep visualizing that and you just imagine, like, feel what it feels like and you really hear what you're saying to yourself. And that will automatically start to really decrease that anxiety because your unconscious mind now already knows the pathway of what's going to happen. It's like a habit. We already have these habits that are known. They're just neural pathway connections that just go. So you're creating a neural pathway for that moment so that when you actually do it, your unconscious mind is like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I've already done this before. And that
Yeah.
will
Reduce the
automatically
anxiety.
automatically reduce that anxiety.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I think we need
Like,
to all give that a go. So we have to sit down and then we're going to visualize how we will feel back at home in our safe space.
you want to imagine. You want to imagine what it's like.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want
So
to imagine what it's like
imagine
after
it in
you've
your
gone
head,
through. Yeah.
visualize it, how you're going to feel, because you'll feel really excited and pleased and proud of yourself also, but
Yeah.
also you'll feel that calm, secure, safe place being back home.
Yeah.
So it's imagining all of that and then keep replaying that.
Yeah. At least, I would say at least 5 times, because you want to, repetition is key. So doing it at least 5 times, and then go to the grocery store and you're going to do it and you'll be like, I'm home. And that was amazing. And everything happened just as I thought it was going to, you know?
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, I love that one. So what other trinkets have you got up your sleeve, please, Rebecca?
What other trinkets do I have up my sleeve?
Have you got any books?
I do. My absolute favorite book for this kind of stuff is Mel Robbins' The 5 Second Rule. Have
Oh,
have you read
yes,
that
the
one? Do you know
5
Mel Robbins?
yes, yes.
Because then you're getting anxious about something that's never even happened. So just
Yeah,
count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go do the thing.
yeah,
You have that 5 seconds where your conscious mind is totally out of play to go up and do whatever it is you're going to do. And then before you can start to think about it, you're already done your activity.
yeah,
And so that takes the anxiety completely out of it, because there's no thinking that happens, you know?
yeah, absolutely.
So I love that one, The 5 Second Rule by Mel Robbins. I also love, and we were talking about it earlier, just about how our minds don't know what's real and what's not real, and you want to put yourself into the future. So Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza, actually anything by Dr. Joe Dispenza is friggin' amazing. And yeah, that's another book I'd really recommend, along with
And why would you recommend that book?
because he really takes you through different meditations. He talks about the different meditations and how when you put yourself into that moment that you already want to happen, then there is no anxiety about it, because like we talked about, you already created that event that's going to happen in the future in your mind.
Yeah,
And so once you've done that, then there's nothing to be anxious about, because you've already created it. It's already happened in your unconscious mind.
yeah,
And so he just has a lot of good tips, and he's just very knowledgeable in the neuroscience and the quantum physics and the quantum world of everything, just to get a more round, deeper understanding of all of that. And then the other book I would recommend is Atomic Habits by James Clear,
oh
because
yeah,
habits run our lives. And so if you can start to change the habits that you're doing for the one, like 4 things you actually want to do, rather than the things that you just do because it's a habit, that's going to start to decrease the anxiety, because you're becoming more aware of your life again. We are only 4% conscious, and everything else we do in the day is 96% unconscious. So
absolutely.
creating these habits consciously, it brings more awareness to who you are, where you are in your physical space, so that you can figure out who you want to be, where you want to go, and do the things you want to do, rather than what you're just doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Mm-hmm.
making it conscious.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And then, of course, once you become aware of your habits, then you can start to create a new positive habit, which will create a new positive pathway, neural pathway in your brain that your
Yeah,
brain over time will start to use automatically rather than going down that old habit pathway.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because every new pathway, if you think of a forest, there's no path. Yet you want to get to the river that's in the stream that's in the middle of the forest, but there's no way to get there. And so you've got to make the path first. You got to get your bushwhacker thing and cut the grass down, you know, get through the weeds. And now you've got like like a padded down path. And then now you want to go do it again. And so now you walked it a few times. Now there's dirt laid on the path. And you walk more. Now you put gravel on the path. And eventually you put asphalt and then concrete. And now you've got a highway to get to here. And then that old path that you were taking is Mother Nature's taking it back, and it's starting to grow the grass and going over it. So you can just continue on this new path. And this one's completely like Mother Nature's taking it back.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I have a metaphor that I use that's very similar. And it's if you imagine a huge field, and then somebody comes along and this field's got lovely long lush grass, and then somebody comes along and they walk all the way down from one side of this field right down to the other, and then you look down and you can see the grass is getting trodden down, and then they walk all the way back again, then you can see the grass is really getting trodden down, and then 25 people come along and they walk down that same pathway, and then it starts raining, and then they turn around and they all come all the way back. And then by that time, the pathway has really been, the grass has been trodden down, that pathway has really been formed.
Yeah.
And so your mind will start to use that new pathway. And then the old pathway, the grass, like you say, will start to grow over, and there will be no pathway. And the mind will automatically use that new pathway.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I prefer the bushwhacker one.
It's just more, I'm very visual, so it's just more visual to like imagine someone bushwhacking through.
Oh, how funny. Yay. Okay, so how can people, do you help people online?
Of course I do.
Jolly good, jolly good. So how can people connect with you, Rebecca?
So they can go to, I'm most active on Instagram. So go to Instagram and type in Rebecca Wagner Coaching. I have my website, which is RebeccaWagnerCoaching.com. Or you can find me on Facebook at Rebecca Wagner Coaching.
Excellent. So if somebody wanted to come and reach out for help from you, how would you take it forward?
So I usually do monthly complimentary masterclasses to give people a better understanding of how their mind works. And especially because a lot of things I do I use hypnosis, which is, to be very clear, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So the only one that can hypnotize you is you. And so I do the hypnosis classes, the intro to hypno or hypnotically shift yourself. Depending on the theme, I change the names of them. And it's just an overview of what hypnosis is, how it works, why, and then you get to experience it for yourself on some kind of journey that we take, depending on the theme of the class. And that's where you start, because then it gives you that idea of, oh, this is just a brainwave state that I can access because I access it twice a day anyway. And I always say, so why not use hypnosis for a purpose so that you can really get the things that you want to get? And from there, then the sky's the limit. We would work one-on-one. Sometimes I offer classes. So it just totally depends on where we are and what I think would be best for you to get you the results that you're looking for, depending on what that is.
Okay. And so all your up and coming courses,
Mm-hmm.
so are they all on obviously on your website? Then do you promote them on Instagram and
yeah, usually they'll be in the link in Instagram, or I'll do lives about them, or I do, stories, reels. And so it's a matter of just making sure you have that notification button on so you can know when the next thing's coming, because it just depends on what's going on. Obviously, I have young children that they're doing a lot of baseball this summer.
Nice.
So it's just a matter of finding time in my schedule to put the master classes. So there's going to be one coming up in June. There's going to be one coming up in July. They're just dates The dates will be on my website. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic, Rebecca. Well, this is, I want to thank you so much for all of this invaluable practical help for people with anxiety. So thank you, Rebecca, for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun.
Yay, thank you. And thank you to everybody for listening. And before we go, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Apple iTunes so you never miss an episode. And then, of course, let us know what you think and show some love, your favorite podcast on wherever you listen. On Spotify or Stitcher or Buzzsprout or wherever you listen. So thank you so much to everybody. And I look forward to speaking to you in the next episode.